Welcome to the First Baptist on Fifth podcast. I'm Olivia Blake, Ministry and Communications Assistant and host of the podcast series, Ministry is Calling. Throughout this series, I will be inviting folks from our church to share stories of how they've answered this call as we celebrate and reflect on the various ways people engage in ministry work. Today, I'm joined by Susan Welch, beloved member and retired organist. Welcome.
Thank you.
It is wonderful to have you. So for those who may not know you as well or have only seen you up here playing one of our lovely instruments on a Sunday, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
I grew up in Yadkinville, North Carolina, which is not very far from here. I studied piano and I have my I got my Bachelor of Music in Piano Performance. And then I went on and received my master's, and I know I'm jumping ahead, but oh well.
That's all right.
I have always had a feeling within my soul, seems like, of entering a sanctuary that brought peace to me as well as joy. And that I felt very comfortable there. I would go with my mother some. She was the director of music in our home church.
Okay.
And if Dad was not home yet from work, I would go with her to rehearsals. And I loved being there.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's a little bit about my upbringing.
Yeah. And so you mentioned, obviously, the bachelor's with emphasis on piano music, but master's, what did you go for that degree?
It ended up being, I started off at Southern.
Okay.
And their degree is just a Master's of Church Music.
Got it. Okay.
That's where I met David.
Yes.
And we took a break. We just took a break from school, and for 4 years, I taught piano. I was still an organist in a church, but about 4 years out from it, we were invited to go on a retreat called Walk to Emmaus.
Okay.
He went with the men's group, I went with the ladies. David had come to me earlier and just said, I am not helping people the way that I'm supposed to. I still was not convinced that we were supposed to go back and finish.
Got it.
But after the walk to Emmaus, I knew that we were.
Yeah.
And instead of going back to Southern, we decided to go to Southeastern.
Okay.
Okay, this was 83 to 85.
Okay.
We had a 2-year-old, and I felt guilty about putting my little boy in the daycare center.
Yeah.
But it was the best thing that ever happened for him and for us. In the meantime, Dr. James Good, who was my organist professor at Southern, had gone to Southeastern.
Okay.
And so had Dr. Michael Hahn. They were helping them build their church music program there. So when I went to sit down and talk with Dr. Good, we were just chatting about things, and he said, now Susan, the degree here is a little different from Southern because I don't care what school of theology, divinity, music, Christian education, everyone had to take Old and New Testament, systematic theology, and church history, all of which scared the bahoots out of me.
You're like, I just want to play.
That's right.
Yeah.
But he sat there and he said, Susan, I received all of my degrees from Southern. And he said, I really wish Southern's degree was more like Southeastern's. He said, you're going to see where all 4 of those courses are going to help weave together with music. And he was right.
Yeah.
He was right. But we went back, we finished there. And so I have a Master of Divinity with church music.
That's wonderful.
Well, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's, I struggled through some of those courses.
I mean, it's not supposed to be easy, so.
No, and it wasn't.
Yeah.
I went to my Old Testament professor one day and I said, I could get up there and play anything for you on the organ. But I said, I'm afraid I'm going to fail Old Testament. He said, you're not going to fail the fail Old Testament.
Yeah.
He said you're going to do just fine with
Yeah.
it. But I thought I didn't have a lot of confidence in myself in those areas.
Yeah. Fair. But I also think obviously you made it out on the other side that, I guess some of that gets bolstered after, completing, even if it was a challenge.
Yeah.
And some of it is just a good riddance. I'm glad I checked it off. I don't want to revisit. And that's okay too. So that's wonderful. So that kind of brings us through your education, but obviously your life didn't stop at a master's. Can you talk me through like how you use those degrees and like kind of like your career in music?
I always had a piano studio, so I've always taught privately.
Okay.
And along with that, I have served churches mainly as organist. I have been, that was in 3 Baptist churches.
Okay.
I did have the opportunity to serve a Lutheran church as their organist choir master.
Oh, wow.
Which broadened my theology even more.
Yeah.
And it helped me to understand why liturgical churches do things the way that they do them. So that was an experience, but it stretched me to become accustomed and used to playing music in a different way sometimes too.
Absolutely.
But and then when we moved to Columbia, the Lexington area of South Carolina, that was our last move. And I had the opportunity to accompany the South Carolina Baptist Women's Choral Group.
Wow.
So many of those women I would have never met in my life, and good friends that we have become.
Yeah.
I was involved with them for 20 years as their accompanist.
Wow.
We went to children's homes, retirement homes, churches, of course. And then we also had the opportunity of going to the women's prison.
Wow.
We went to the maximum and the minimum security, which was a little unnerving.
Of course.
Not knowing what to expect.
Of course, yeah.
But the look on the women's faces was, some had tears running down their faces. Some of them had a look of, wonder.
Yeah.
And at the maximum security, the way that they were able to attend the concert was by good behavior.
Yeah.
So that was, we did that a couple of times. And that was an experience that I would have never dreamed of that would happen in my lifetime.
Yeah.
So one thing I will say is, wherever we have moved, God has always opened a door for me there. He's always had a place for me to serve.
That's wonderful.
I'm going to back up and tell you a story, though.
Yeah.
My senior year in college, okay, I had just played my senior recital, piano recital.
Okay.
And I had applied to 2 very different grad schools. One was Eastman School of Music, the other one was Southern Baptist in Louisville. Well, I had my sights set on going to Eastman.
Wow. Okay.
But it was still going to be their church music degree that I was going to get. And I had not heard from Dr. Saunders. So I called him, and he said, "Oh, Susan," he said, "I've been waiting to hear from you." And I said, "Well, I've been waiting to hear from you." There was a breakdown in communication. He said, "I have filled all of my spots." He said, "I was saving one for you. I have filled it." And he said, "I cannot take on any more grad students next year."
Yeah.
And I said, "Okay." I was in shock.
Yeah.
And so I went flying to find Margaret Mueller. So she was a professor at Salem. This was at Salem.
Got it.
Where I
Okay.
was. And I had known her since the 6th grade. And So I went to her. She knew him. She called. He told her the same thing.
Yeah.
And he said, why don't you stay there and study with Margaret next year, and then we'll get all of this lined up.
Yeah.
He said, I was waiting for you to call, to line up your audition. So I just kind of took a step back, and Mrs. Mueller and I talked, my parents and I talked, and I came to the realization God had closed that door. That's not where I was supposed to go.
Yeah.
Southern was where I was supposed to head. And so that was really the first time that he really showed me the direction that I was supposed to be going in.
Yeah.
And I don't regret it. I don't look back and say, oh, well, maybe I should have stayed and, studied with her a little longer than gone on. No, there have been too many other things that have just opened up for me.
Absolutely.
And clearly, he's the one that was opening all the doors for me too.
Of course.
So that's kind of where that's how I ended up really at Southern.
Got it. And nothing else would have, trickled down as it did if not for that decision.
That's right.
That's wonderful.
No, nothing would have.
So I'm curious, this talk of open doors and closed doors, and kind of feeling that push from God with those, doors guiding the way of guiding this work that you've been doing. And I'm curious with this idea of God pulling and calling you, how this idea of calling resonates. So my question for you is, many people view ministry in particular, whether music ministry or more general, just ministry, as truly a calling or vocation, rather than simply a career or job path. How does that sentiment resonate with you?
It was definitely a calling.
Yeah.
It was definitely a calling, yes. And it's hard to explain that feeling. It's just, I just knew.
Of course.
I just knew. And, we all have to learn how he speaks to us and what his nudges are.
Yeah.
And I think for me, it was, I had felt the nudge younger. I didn't know how to orchestrate it. So, yeah, with him closing that door, heading from Rochester to over here to Louisville, it really got my attention.
Yeah.
It got my attention.
Absolutely. To then be more cognizant and looking for those pushes and pulls.
Exactly.
Yeah, in other places.
And all of the opportunities that have come my way, just they're way too numerous to talk about. But I had the opportunity to accompany when they were celebrating the 30th anniversary for Celebrate Life. Okay. As each state does and did, they had the South Carolina Youth Choir Festival, and they decided that year it was going to be Celebrate Live.
Yeah.
Well, Burl Red came and directed, and I had the opportunity to accompany for him.
Yeah.
And I could never orchestrate that.
No.
Are you kidding?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So it was just, and I've had other opportunities.
Yeah.
Too. So it was never a job to me.
Yeah.
It was always my ministry.
Yeah.
On Sunday mornings, sometimes I would usually have several preludes in my back pocket.
Of course.
So to say. And
a well-prepared musician.
Well, you never know.
Of course, yeah.
But I would have things lined up, and on Saturdays, sometimes I would start feeling uneasy about the prelude for the next morning, and I thought, why am I feeling this way? And I would wake up on Sunday morning and go, I'm not supposed to play that prelude this morning. I'm supposed to play this other one. And it was just the feeling that I had inside of me.
Yeah.
But I knew that that's why he could reach me.
Of course, of course.
Reach this little brain of Susan's up
Yeah.
there. And always, whether it was on that particular Sunday or maybe sometime during the week, I would get a note or someone would call and say, that prelude really spoke to me.
That's exactly what my head was thinking of. You never know when you make that decision that God's pushing you to, of the trickle effect, not only in your own life, but in the lives it touches.
Other people.
Yeah.
And that's how I viewed my ministry. It was there to help others worship. It was never about me. To help people worship and in the best way possible.
Oh yeah.
So.
And I feel like there's something music can do that just spoken word can't. And you know what I mean, to help people get more in tune with their body and feel the Spirit, that it's definitely a vital part of worship. You know, it's no one shows up on a Sunday morning and just expects preaching. You know what I mean? We also expect to be moved by the music, to feel deeper in our soul, whether it be with a choral intro or a hymn. It's all a part of the process.
Exactly.
So, yeah, that's wonderful. So we've talked a little bit about obviously both your time while pursuing your degrees, as well as also the earlier years of following your mom to rehearsals. But I'm curious, you kind of touched on how meaningful that early experience was. How or when did you realize this calling specifically to music? Was it during those rehearsals, or was it even earlier than that?
I cannot pinpoint.
Yeah.
I really can't. I have thought about that. And I thought, I really can't say it was with this or it was with that. Maybe it was because music was in the house all the time. Mother taught piano as well.
Yeah.
And maybe it was just, I was surrounded by music my entire life.
But it was just almost innate because of,
Yes. I pulled a cute one on my mom one day. I don't remember this story, but boy, did she love to tell it. I had been asking to take lessons, and Mother just kept putting me off because she thought I was too young.
Yeah.
And I would see all of her students come in, and they would take a seat. They'd have their books in their laps. And so anyway, she came out one day from teaching her last lesson. I was 5.
Okay.
And there I sat on the sofa with a stack of her books in my lap. She didn't know that I had snuck in there and carried some out. So anyway, there I sat, and she said, I looked at her and said, I'm here for my lesson.
I love that.
And she thought, okay, we'll give it a try. If it doesn't work, we'll wait.
Yeah.
But we started and never stopped.
I love that.
Yeah. So, but it was just.
Oh yeah. Well, and it's one of those things, even if, you know, you can articulate or pinpoint at that age, you know what I mean, or recall, like, little you knew, like, no, I need to be doing this. And so, all right, what's the next best thing to convince my mom that this is, you know, what I need to be doing is, let me go grab a stack of books and match what her students do, and maybe she'll take me seriously. And look at you now, that, you know.
She did.
Absolutely. That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Wow. That's beautiful. So, obviously talked a little bit about, you know, this early childhood experience and, you know, learning to play and pursuing music through, you know, childhood. But you also then talked about both, you know, degrees which you pursued, focusing in on music and then music as a ministry. And I'm curious, how did you decide to utilize both your skills and talents as a musician, but also like this training and education that was broader? Even as much as we may have hated the Old Testament class, it was still useful. That, like, can you talk more about how that shaped the work you did, and kind of helped you whether come to realize or just affirm how much music was a ministry in the work that you were doing?
So, okay.
I rambled. So basically, of just talking about how your degrees have kind of shaped your talents, you know what I mean, expounded upon what was already naturally given, but also shaped your perspective on which you approached the work you were doing? You've talked often about music being a ministry, you know what I mean, to the larger congregation. So kind of just touch on how those
Okay.
degrees shape that.
Okay, because undergrad, it was more performance.
Got it.
Okay, that was piano.
Yes.
I was able to study organ with Mrs. Mueller 3 years.
Okay.
Okay. But what those Old and New Testament, systematic, and church history, they helped me to see how, well, I don't know how to answer this, because I saw how music was woven into the worship service as a child.
Yeah.
But I think I had become so performance oriented that I had kind of gotten away from, okay, how is this music? I was getting away from thinking that as a ministry.
Yeah.
And maybe I had never really thought of it as a ministry.
You'd observed it, but never in your own life treated it as such.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. But those classes helped me to see how it was used in the Old Testament, you know, how music was so important.
Yeah.
And then systematic theology really helped me form my theology a little stronger than it was. Church history, again, it helped us show how music was involved with it. But I also think some of that had to do with some of the professors that I had as well.
Fair.
That's the only way I know how to describe
Absolutely.
it.
Yeah, well, and I think it makes sense of, you know, early life you observed other people treating it as a ministry, but, you know, there was no, you know, you can't be inside someone else's head and trying to understand, you mean, what's their intent behind,
Right.
you know what I mean, this basically act of service to a larger congregation on a Sunday morning. And so shifting then from focusing in on performance in undergrad to then realizing that aha of like, wait a minute, this can serve a larger purpose.
Right.
It's really beautiful.
Worship.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
That's cool. So I'm curious, obviously you have had a multitude of experiences, both whether like in the education space as well as in your career in a multitude of churches, as well as being a piano teacher like your mom, that how have you best lived, or what's one of your favorite memories that you take pride in, and how you've lived into music as a ministry?
Oh, wow. Probably it has helped me to stay more in tune with His will. Because as I said earlier, I soon realized how important it was to people in worship. And if I could play a small part in their lives in that way, whether it be for a funeral or for a wedding, Sunday morning worship,
of course.
Again, it was not about me, but it was hopefully giving someone sitting out there in that pew maybe some joy, or maybe helping them deal with grief in some way, or helping them to meet God in a worship service too.
Yeah.
And help them to feel a little bit of Him with them.
Absolutely.
Or that they could take with them. I don't know if that's a good answer, though.
No, that's a beautiful answer.
I think once you take yourself out of it, then He really can speak through you.
That's wonderful. Yeah.
Whether you're speaking, whether you're playing, whether you're singing, we have to move ourselves out of the way first.
Yeah.
For him to be able to do what he needs to do.
Absolutely. So that's so true, and I think oftentimes forgotten. Of you get so consumed in the rabbit race of your own life that recognizing this is serving either a bigger purpose or stepping back and taking your ego out of it and just going, I trust what he's doing with it.
Yes.
And that's good enough.
Yes.
Yeah. That's wonderful.
There would be several there. I would do some Advent and Lenten services.
Yeah.
And there would always be one piece that would just, I would not be pleased with it in rehearsal.
Yeah.
You know, when I was practicing it, there would be something that I just could not get it. So in the back of my mind, I knew those measures were coming up. And I would go, okay, before I would start the piece for whatever service it was, I would just say, you have to play through me. You have to play through me so that we get through those measures today.
Absolutely. I can't do it alone. Yeah.
Yeah. And it was learning to trust. Again, learning to trust him too.
Of course.
You know?
Yeah.
That he is going to be there. And I had many flubs, trust me.
Yeah.
But there were so many times that it was him playing through me.
Oh yeah. The one time you got it right happened to be while it was in front of the audience, or of course.
But I soon learned, I didn't pat myself on the back for that, because truly I knew what it really could have been like.
Oh yeah.
So
that's wonderful. Yeah. Oh yeah. Wonderful. So my final question for you, this has often been the hardest for most folks. Okay. So if you could tell your younger self one thing when you started this journey, whether stepping back to getting your higher education or all the way back to childhood, what would be the one thing you would tell yourself?
Several things.
See, and that's what makes it so hard.
Oh gosh. I'll start. I'm going to name a couple of them.
Okay.
One would be, there's always someone else out there better than you. You just be the best that you can be.
Yeah.
Listen to the nudges. Listen to his voice. And listen to others.
Yeah.
Listen to others. So, yeah, that's what I would have told my younger self.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Oh, yeah. Well, and I think those are two good lessons to learn of, being open to receiving, whether it's his word or his word through others, and affirmations or guidance of saying, this door's closed or this door's open.
Right.
And also of always striving for your best, but your best rather than the comparison game that's so easy to get into.
That's right.
That's wonderful.
That's right.
Well, thank you so much for sharing so much of your story today. It's been absolutely wonderful to hear and get to know a little bit more. And thank you all for listening. It's been a pleasure as always, and we look forward to seeing you again in our next episode.